that'll lead to a bad experience.
Yeah, it will.
But just as a man is commanded to dwell with his wife according to knowledge, a woman is commanded to be a lover of her husband. Titus 2. Very, very quickly, last page. I want you to just look at 7 reasons God made sex. Number 1, procreation. Number 2, for unity. You're all going to be closer together if you have sex. You're all going to be closer together. It's going to bring your closeness in your relationship. Number 3, visual pleasure, and number 4, physical pleasure. We just read that in Song of Solomon. Ladies, let him see.
Oh, come on, sir. Come on, sir.
Ooh, y'all. Y'all don't get me too bad. Let him see. Physical pleasure. Number 5, for emotional needs, to comfort each other. For comfort. Number 6, for sacrifice and submission. You learn to sacrifice for one another, and you learn mutual submission. I submit to you, you submit to me. And then finally, it gets us out of our comfort zone to be able to love our spouse, not as we would desire, but guess what? As they would desire to be loved. Now, I went through that last part fast because I need to get questions. I need y'all to talk to me. I need responses. I need y'all to say, Bishop, boy, I don't know about that. I mean, that's okay. Come on, come on. Come on, right here, right here, right here. Right here. Yep, come on. Come on. You among friends.
So I thought, like in our situation, that if I didn't want to do it, I could say no, and that was in the discussion. But he would keep being persistent, and I'm like, no. But in the Bible it says that I should, whether I feel like it or not, so that he's not tempted, just do it.
Well, that almost brings us to another topic of discussion, which is called honoring. That wasn't our talk tonight. Our talk was simply sexuality. But when you learn to honor one another, you'll never force the other person to.
So I wasn't honoring him when I said no?
And he wasn't honoring you by saying, yes, you will. So we have to learn by the lesson on how to honor one another. That's a whole nother lesson. Tonight, that wasn't the discussion.
Okay.
Tonight, the discussion was simply sexuality. But there is a topic of discussion on how to honor each other in a marriage. And honoring each other in a marriage, you never will, if one person says no, it's kind of like, okay, you know, what the no has to be, should be certainly a soft no, but it should be a reasonable no. Should be a reasonable no. I mean, maybe she worked all day. She tired. Just not up to that. And, I mean, it could be a number of reasons for that. But if you don't honor her, then you begin to force her to do something, and then that's not honoring. But that's a whole nother discussion. And so remember, tonight wasn't about honoring. Tonight was simply the sexual part. Does that make sense? Now, we need to bring back the honoring part. We you know, that's kind of in our married couples fellowship discussions, you know, because we got to learn to honor one another. And that brings up a whole different scenario. That's a great question, though. That's a very, very good question. Thank you for asking that. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, she had a good question, and you know, I embarrassed my husband too, so it's okay. I'm glad we had the class because it does explain why we are so different. You know, I mean, I know we're different anyway, but why, you know, we're so emotionally drawn, and you guys are like, let's go.
Yeah. And I know I went fast because of time. I probably should have just maybe did a song tonight and said, okay, we got a lot to talk about. But I know I went really fast on a topic that the church seems to not want to talk about.
Right.
And as a church, we need to talk about this. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Bishop. One of the points that I got locked in, focused on is not young anymore, but a man in this polygamous idea for males. We covered the adult part, and we can see that developing kids, male kids at a young age. This may not be a short answer, so you may have to answer it another time. Yeah. But what do we do as parents? Well, I got girls, but we deal with boys. What do we do to try to develop them to be out of that habit as they're developing to be young men?
That is a really good question. I think we have to start teaching our young men early how to keep themselves under subjection and how to control themselves. Teaching them to respect young girls, to respect women, to all those kind of things. We instill that in them early. That kind of helps them to understand that you just don't go in that direction. You know, of course, along as they grow older, having the Word of God. As a pastor, I got to add that, having the Word of God in them, and as you get old enough to where you feel with the Spirit and allow the Spirit to lead, guide, and direct. But Joe, I think the early teaching them while they're young. Because I don't even know if we do enough to teach a young man to respect the girl. Right. We don't. I think we, they just sit them out the door. We don't talk to them about it. But they, as they learn to respect the girls, they'll grow up respecting the women. It helps. It helps. Because we are not slaves to this polygamous nature. We're not slaves to it. And it's not an excuse. Right. This is not an excuse for a person, for a man to go out and act crazy. It's not an excuse. There's no excuse for it.
Yes, sir. It's a great class. I don't know if this is might require a lengthy answer, but my wife and I, we often talked about this in Corinthians, chapter 7 and 3, where it gets down to the portion of refraining from intimacy while fasting or in focused prayer. Mm-hmm. Could you just elaborate on why we should and should not?
Yeah, it doesn't say you have to. It says that if that's what you want, then you two should agree to it. You see how it says that? Do not deprive one another except with consent for a time, that you may give yourself to fasting and praying. So you agree. Otherwise, you want to agree to it, and when you agree to it, then you do. What if one of you don't agree? You don't say, well, the Bible says, no. It said that you agree. You consent. You consent to refrain. And I say for spiritual things. Fasting, praying. Let's say we in revival this week. We might say, hey, during the revival, let's good idea. You know, it's just a revival. It could be the weekend for spiritual things. But as soon as that's done, you want to come back because you know of these needs we talked about tonight. They are there. They are there.
Thanks, sir.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very, very good. Who else? Who else? Yeah, right here.
Bishop, I just want to say thank you. I never had a class like this. Never. The whole time. I knew nothing about what the man looked and how the woman looked. Never had. And I know I'm up there. I know. So I thank you. A lot of things I can understand more on the man's side. Well, before I was saying, but I know what a man is. He's a productive part. He just, so I learned a lot tonight.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, brother. And I really wish I didn't have to go so fast. And presented, and I wish I didn't have to go so fast. But it's so much more to talk about, and I don't think we should turn the subject over to that folks out there.
That's right.
I think we need to talk about it. We need to be open. We need to be free. We need to know that it's okay. We need to know that sex is not a bad word.
That's right.
It's not a bad word. We just need to know how to approach it and support one another. Kind of see what each other's needs are. Yes.
Yeah. My takeaway from this, Bishop, awesome class by the way. But my takeaway from it is that you always talk about how men and women are created different. But when you went into the biology of the sexuality, that's what stood out to me about how men, they're more, correct me if I'm wrong, they're more visual and then emotional and physical, and then with women they're emotional and then physical.
Yeah.
So that's what stood out to me, really, understanding the biology.
Yeah, and both need both.
Right.
They need both. It's just that the approach is first one way with one and one way with the other. But both need both. The man needs emotional connection too, and the women want a physically attractive man as well. Somebody they're physically attracted to. Yes, sir.
Yeah, but in agreement with what's being said, an excellent class. I never, I always they always say the men and women wired different, and men are from Venus.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I never knew that a man was a polygamous mindset.
Polygamous.
And the woman was it
monogamous.
I never knew this from that perspective.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean that every man just want to run out and have 5 women. It doesn't mean that every woman is going to stick with just that one. You always have some women that's going to, they're going to sneak around, for another one. And you're going to have some men who are going to say, no, this is the one and I ain't going nowhere else. There's always those exceptions. But when you look at the totality, that's what you come with. Well, my personal testimony is God. That's my personal testimony. If it had not been for God on my side. Okay? Anyone else? Anyone else? Come on, let them in. Let them in, y'all. Let them in. Let them in.